Hey everyone, and welcome to today's squad rising video. There was a whole lot that went into designing the main characters you see behind me and all of the others. So I'm going to show you today how I designed them. A lot of the design inspiration came from anime designs, mainly for eyes, the size and style, and the style for drawing fur and shadowing. That was a lot of the art style technique inspiration, but a whole lot of actually learning to draw in certain details. It came from Spirit styling the Cimarron, Lion King, and let us not forget Sonic the Hedgehog, especially the comics. So I owe Sonic so much. And as most of you probably know by now, a lot of the characters, including these four, were originally Sonic OCs. And in fact, this is what Tina used to look like. Yeah, it has been a long journey. Tina was originally a wolf-fox hybrid, and at some point she just became a full-on wolf. And some of her colors and her eye color definitely seeped over into the official design. The gloves and boots kind of translated over. Actually, her main design, as well as everybody else's, came over largely from the Sonic Forces avatars, because I was working on creating these characters way back when, and designed them mainly through Sonic Forces. And of course, their designs have altered since then, but a lot of the original designs and the Sonic Forces designs have since been locked in, and there's really no changing them at this point. They have definitely taken on a life of their own since then, though. And one really fun aspect of designing the characters is figuring out their baby designs from their adult designs. A lot of that revolves around the size of their eyes and their ears in relation to the rest of their head. The babies definitely have smaller ears and bigger eyes, and their fur tufts are a bit smaller. They definitely have a much cuter little look of innocence as opposed to the adult characters who have seen too much. Also, that's just pretty stinking adorable. The art style for the Squad Rising has definitely improved a lot, and so have their designs. So that's where I'm going to show you how I draw them to make them look the way they do. Also, this is literally probably the stupidest thing I've ever drawn. So, one of the main qualities of Tina's design is that she has a strong but fluffy build, because she is a wolf, and wolves are very fluffy and very strong. So of course she's going to be strong and fluffy. And one thing about her and her race, the Neftarians, they are a unique race of anthropomorphic animals. So they have animal-like qualities such as, of course, heads, tails, their hands and feet can be different, but they have humanoid bodies. So drawing a Neftarian body is about the same as drawing a human body. Let me try to turn this a little bit so it's more straight. I'm going to try and get all of her on the piece of paper here. So of course it begins with just a bunch of lines and shapes. We're going to start on her head. She's got big ears because she's a wolf. Wolves don't really have ginormous ears, but one fun thing about the characters is that you can exaggerate some features to give them more personality, some more noticeable qualities that make them stand out. Just draw her eyes. Pupils can be a little hard when the eyes are tiny. They do have very big, expressive eyes. So that's one thing to keep in mind with all the characters. They have pretty expressive faces for animals. Although it's not necessarily hard to give an animal an expressive face. Whoops, there went my pencil. She has very fluffy head fur spilling between her ears. If it went down like the back of her head and around her neck, it would be more of a hairdo or a fur-do, really. But it doesn't. It stays between her ears. She also, one of her main defining looks is the 4 big tufts of fur that come off of the sides of her head. They kind of flow with the breeze, they droop when they get wet, so definitely a key part of her design. Another big part of her design is her very fluffy neck fur. It kind of spills everywhere else, spills a little farther down than maybe it normally should, but again, exaggeration. Also, it looks really pretty. It kind of also flows in the wind. And then we get down. Another thing for just character design in general is you can do whatever you like with your characters, but if you are wondering if you have a male character and a female character and you wonder, is it okay to make them look male and female? Yes, absolutely, it is fine. These characters here, very humanoid bodies, so it is perfectly acceptable to give them more male and female curves or no curves. As you can see, I drew the legs a little too far out and a little too short, so I'm just going to go beyond what I drew. Well, it's not great, but this is just kind of a showing how I draw it, not exactly perfect drawing. It's always okay if a drawing doesn't look perfect, as long as it looks good. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw on her clothes here, because she's got these little rolled up shorts here, and they're kind of based off denim. They're not denim exactly, but they're based off denim. And then she's got a red tank top that she wears up here. I'm not going to color this in. I'm just showing how to do this. Here comes the strong build. She is muscular. She's not as muscular as the male characters, but she definitely has some well-toned arms here. Hands are hard up to a point. Once you figure out the basics for hands, they can be fairly easy from time to time. Just don't think about them too hard. Her claws poke through her gloves a little bit. It's fabric and claws. One is always going to win over the other. So her stance isn't really great in this drawing, but it's okay. She has some boots on, cover up her paws. I do often use mechanical pencils to draw because it really doesn't matter what you draw with. Get her laces on. She's also got these little black bands that go under her cuffs. And last but certainly not least, her most important detail, her tail. She has, I'm going to draw the spine for it actually. She has a very exaggerated tail. It's ginormous. So the curves in it, the bottom, or whichever way that the tail is turning, can be really long, and the inner curve can be really short to demonstrate how big and fluffy it is. So there's her ginormous tail. And I'm just going to do a quick little shade here, because she has a brown muzzle and brown inner ears, and the rest of her fur is kind of a rusty orange. She's got the red tank top, she's got the blue pants, and she's got these dark gray boots. Her gloves are also a dark gray. I'm not going to color this in because I think most of you know. Of course, there she is over there. Come over here, Tina. Ugh. There's my girl. A calico critter, of course, so not exactly like this. But here we have Tina. I'm just going to do a couple quick headshots of the other characters because drawing all of them is going to take a long time. So for Porter, being another one of the main characters, I'm not really sure how to position this any better. He is a hedgehog, and the thing with the hedgehogs is that Neftarian hedgehogs, the design kind of crept over from the original Sonic OC inspiration, because all these characters were originally Sonic OCs, and the hedgehogs now for Neftar only have quills on their heads. It's kind of part of their cultural species thing, where they shave off the rest of the quills at a young age, so they only have quills on their heads. And the quill length can vary. So I'm going to draw him kind of at an angle here. Can't really see his other eye at the angle that he's at. He's got this cute little smile on his face, like he's plotting how to ambush one of his siblings, because that's what he does. Ear comes back here. The hedgehogs, him and Sapphire both, have smaller ears. Very fluffy though. Different thing here is that the inner fur for the ears is the same color as their main fur color, unlike Tina and Sai and pretty much every other species, where the ear fur that comes fluffing, I just made that a verb, is the same color as the inner ear. So his inner ear is like a beige color, same as his muzzle, whereas the fur here is yellow like the rest of him. And same with Sapphire, the inner fur is blue. The ear fur is blue, while the rest of it's beige. For quills, they kind of come down a little bit to the middle and a little bit to the side, and they also shoot off over here. We're going to kind of bring, it's kind of like the back of his jaw, sort of over here, and the quills come off of that. So I'm going to give his neck a quick curve here, and of course got to give a little bit of fur down here because his neckerchief is down here, and this is one of his kind of his key little accessories here. It's his neckerchief. Also, hedgehogs, if you look at a picture, they are actually kind of fluffy. Their fur is pretty fluffy, so the hedgehogs have rather fluffy fur. And his quills, he has very long quills. I might see if I can add a little bit more of him just to give an example. Also, more muscular. Porter is definitely more muscular than everyone else. Okay, that's good. And so he's got a bunch of tufts of fur. This is just kind of a little, quills, I'm sorry. This is kind of like an extra bunch of quills that he's got to come down over his shoulders. And then he's got the main big tufts of quills that come spilling off of his head. Realistically, that's probably very top heavy, but we're going to ignore that. So he's got all these quills, so many quills, and they just go all the way down to his tail. So he looks a little bit more like a little bit more porcupine-esque, but he's a hedgehog. And now we're going to move on to his twin brother, who looks nothing like him. And the reason behind that was because way back when, they were originally not going to be related. It was kind of a last-minute decision when they were still OCs, so the designs didn't get to change, but now they're related. So Sapphire has, a bit more of a gentler look than his brother, because he is also chronically ill, so he will wrestle with his brother, but he can't do it for as long stretches as Porter could. So we're gonna draw this cute little face, get those pupils kind of even. Ear comes back here. The ears are always a little bit farther back than they seem like they should be, because they actually are kind of farther back, and it makes room for the quills. So he's got his little ears and his quills. All the hedgehogs have pretty much the same kind of front mess of quills, but then Sapphire has very short quills. So we bring it up to the back of the jaw. He's got some that kind of spill downward, but then for the most part, they stick up like that. And they are pretty short. Then he's got a little bit extra that like comes down to the back of his head a little bit. I think I may have made the quills come up a little too far. He looks a bit more like a triceratops there. He does not have a triceratops look. I'm going to draw just a little bit of its torso because unlike Porter, he is muscular, but since he's down a lot with his illness, he's a little bit leaner, a little bit skinnier compared to Porter. He also has a white belt that he wears, and as you can see on this figurine of him, he's got a little white belt and a little holster for the blaster that he built out of scrap parts. But you can't really see it in this drawing. So that is Sapphire, and that is Porter. See the difference, but at the same time they have pretty similar faces, kind of similar looks. So that kind of is the little bit of a binding design that makes them look like they're related. Last but certainly not least, we move on to Psy. So Psy has a very kittenish appearance to give that very youthful, cat-like look. She's definitely one of the most fun to draw expression-wise. You can draw her doing a lot of stuff and being really goofy, and it always works. So, unlike the others, she has a very small, kind of square muzzle. I'm going to draw her with a cute little open smile here. Because cats, like domestic cats, have very small muzzles, and by Neftar they wouldn't call her necessarily a domestic cat. She was not, I did not originally base her off of a specific breed, but after I got to know her personality and her design a bit more in the very early stages, I realized she's very similar to the Bombay. So she's sort of kind of based off the Bombay cats, which are extremely friendly. And they are also all black, which the difference that Psy has is that the Neftarian trait of having a muzzle and a little bit of the neck and the inner ears are all a different color. So it doesn't quite look like a Bombay, but at the same time, very similar. She has this big pink ribbon that she wears right about here. The ends of it are kind of torn up because she's worn it forever. It's been through a lot, like she has. And she's got really big ears. And one tiny little design thing that even I forget about sometimes is she's got little tufts of fur sticking up from her ears. These lovely little fur tufts. And then she's got the kind of a classic 2 tufts of fur sticking off the side of the head, like so many cartoon cats do. I've actually seen a cat that did have those, but I really haven't seen that many cats that like noticeably have the 2 tufts sticking off the side. So there's her adorable little face. Give her neck a nice little curve here. She's got a shirt that she wears. I'm going to try and get her shoulders up for kind of a cute look here. Sleeves are kind of torn up because, you know, she's feisty. She's a naturally feisty cat. That's why she's so naturally good at martial arts, because she just kind of already knows how to do it. She's got 2 older brothers and naturally a feisty cat. And there she is. Very cute little kitten. She always has kind of a kittenish appearance even as she gets older. So she's the baby. And with that, I hope you enjoyed today's video of the designs of the Squad Rising main characters. And I will see you again soon with more content from the Squad Rising. Have a great day, everyone!